and enjoy the action. It's Falkirk up against Inverness Thistle for a place in the Scottish Cup final. Our commentary team at Hampden Park: Leanne Crichton, Rory Loy and Alistair Lamont.
Very much, Kenny. A real honour to be here. The biggest day in many of these players' footballing lives, and they have the opportunity this afternoon to set up an even bigger one back here at the National Stadium on June the 3rd. Both these clubs have probably overachieved in this competition in recent years, and never more so than when Thistle lifted the trophy at Falkirk's expense, sorry Rory, 8 years ago. Another final for either would be a real feather in the cap, as they each pursue promotion bids from their respective leagues as well. It's a cool, overcast day in the south side of Glasgow. A gentle wind blowing, some smoke billowing over a lush Hampden pitch after a generous watering pre-kick-off, as the respective captains, the very experienced Sean Welsh and Stephen McGinn, go through the coin toss with the referee this afternoon, who is Nick Walsh. As I mentioned earlier, took charge of the 2021 final here between St Johnstone and Hibs, as well as Falkirk's victory in the quarters over Ayr United. Looks like it's going to be Falkirk who will get us underway. They are all in navy blue this afternoon, with Inverness Thistle in their traditional light blue and red top with blue shorts and socks. Falkirk going from left to right as we look at it from a position high up in the south stand at Hampden. And although the crowd is not huge for a semi-final, you can be sure it means everything to both sets of fans to see their sides lining up in this huge game. And it would mean even more if they could claim the victory. We are underway, and it's knocked long early on down the left by Leon McCann, the Falkirk left back, and Falkirk looking to start brightly, but Inverness Thistle sweep it upfield up to the halfway line. It's McCann, the fullback, again getting a couple of early touches, hoists it long up towards Burrell. Inverness Thistle likewise get up to Billy Mackay. He can't keep a hold of the ball, but Thistle play it forward, and that's an early test over there for Brad Mackay. Just knocks it out of play before Billy Mackay can make any headway. 3 Mackays on the pitch today, a couple of Hendersons. Not exactly a commentator's dream, but I'll try and keep you across everything that's happening here live on Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland, as the ball's knocked into the Falkirk box. It's headed away again by Brad Mackay. He, alongside Col Donaldson, the two former Thistle players at the heart of the Falkirk defence, will be tasked with keeping their former club at bay as Allardyce plays it forward for Thistle. It's knocked long by McGinn down the left-hand side, out of play for a Falkirk throw-in over on the far side. It's certainly, you would have to say, in terms of the Falkirk turnout, Rory, they've come out in good numbers, almost 9,000 I think they managed to sell in the end. Yeah, indeed. They'll be wanting to see a bit of revenge from 2015, I'm sure, so they've turned out today. You know, they've always had a good following, Falkirk. Spoke about it a number of times. They shouldn't be in League One, and they've got the support to prove that almost, but you can see already, with the start Inverness have made, any ball in behind Billy Mackay's right on his toes, and the Falkirk backline need to be so wary of him. Yeah, they'll be aware of that. Whether they can do anything about it is a different matter altogether, as Shaw picks up for Thistle just inside his own half, tries to work it forward, but Stephen McGinn steps in on the halfway line, and now Williamson leaves it for Kennedy. Looks like he's started in the right hand side with Callum Morrison fairly well advanced, almost up alongside Umar Burrell. Perhaps a slight tweak to the system we expected from Falkirk, who are coming forward with Kennedy right hand side, about 30 yards from the goal line. Williamson couldn't bring the ball under control. Kennedy slides in and knocks it out of play. It will be an Inverness Thistle throw in on this left hand side. Is that a slightly different formation to what we were chatting about earlier on, Rory? Yeah, I would say so. I expected, I thought they would go 4-3-3, just, you know, for the attacking intent, but Lewis from Falkirk TV, who I know pretty well, expected them to go 4-2-3-1, but it looks like Henderson's almost playing on the left hand side in possession,
and then coming back in with Stephen McGinn out of possession. Maybe it's just that idea that they don't want to leave it in behind and they want to have a real go because they've got a lot of players up the pitch.
But it's Cally Thistle coming forwards right now, right hand side of the penalty area. That move comes to nothing though, but it might yet work out for Cally Thistle over on the far side. Duffy trying to keep it alive. It'll break for Jay Henderson. Real live wire, excellent loan signing he's been for Billy Dodd's side, as Allardyce now brings Harper into play, but 25 yards from goal, stands up to the back post. It's just too high for Billy Mackay. Henderson knocks it back in, claims for a handball. Falkirk haven't really dealt with it as yet, although it is knocked out to this near side and out for a throw in to Cally Thistle. And Walsh just asking for a pause in play, as we might have the first major VAR check. There was a claim for a handball.
Did hit his hand though.
Yeah, but Kenny asked me earlier on, will there be anything that the managers have done differently this week? It looks as if it flicks off the hand, doesn't it? I don't know if I would say it was an unnatural position right enough, but you could see every single Inverness player claiming for the handball, certainly, and that's probably something that they've been asked to do differently. That whatever the circumstances, whatever it looks like, make sure you claim, put pressure on those officials, and it does look like we've got that VAR check underway. Interesting to see how the officials view it.
Leo McCann is the Falkirk player involved. His arm is slightly out from his body. He just skiffed his fingers, it seemed, when Henderson put it back in. Nick Walsh is going to come across and look at the monitor as we see replays ourselves.
Yeah, it'll be a penalty. I've just seen it again there, Al.
Leanne, you spoke about it as well.
His elbow's tucked into his body and it's that natural position. Now, unless he pulls his arms behind his back, which is what I'm telling you, that's what footballers need to do. That's the way they need to defend.
You mentioned it right before kick-off, didn't you?
And that's the first thing that's happened. Nick Walsh will look at this and it'll be a penalty because it's come off his hand.
He's had a look. It's been a quick one. What's the decision going to be? Nick Walsh back onto the pitch. Makes the TV monitor. And it's a penalty kick to Inverness Cally Thistle with just 5 minutes on the clock. It's an innocuous looking incident, but with VAR involved, John McGlynn's side are on the wrong end of a penalty decision. And McCann can't believe the spot kick has been awarded, but Billy Mackay, who scored the equaliser from the spot against Kilmarnock in the previous round, will have the opportunity here to give his side an early advantage at Hampden. He's usually the coolest man in the ground. He's up against Brian Kinnear on loan from West Ham.
Billy Dodds can't look out.
Well, he did the same in the quarter-final. Here's Billy Mackay stepping up, right-footed, scores, and Inverness Cally Thistle have the early advantage, and their small band of fans away to our right go absolutely tonto as Billy Mackay slots home his 18th goal of the season, his 4th in the Scottish Cup. And what a start in the semi-final for Cally Thistle.
That's a brilliant penalty, really good penalty. Rory's right, Billy Dodds couldn't look at it. He was waiting in the noise and the reaction that would tell him what he wanted to hear, and that was that the ball's rustled in the back of the net. Great penalty, sends the keeper the wrong way, and exactly the player that you would want to step up in that moment. John Hughes tipped him yesterday to be that player that would make the difference. He bides his time, he waits for the goalkeeper to move, and he goes in that opposite direction. Really good penalty, Rory.
Yeah, fantastic. He's chasing down Dennis Winus for the all-time top scorer, I think, at Inverness. And one thing I did notice, Falkirk need to be brave. Stephen McGinn has brought the ball down a couple of times under pressure, and he's played the ball to Kennedy and Morrison, and they've not shown for it. And they need to be brave here.
Yeah, that's goal number 99 in an Inverness Cally Thistle jersey, 2 behind Dennis Winus in the all-time club standings, and what a meaningful one that could be. Just 7 minutes played, and Inverness Cally Thistle have the advantage, and Falkirk, already the underdogs coming into the game, have an even bigger hill to climb if they are to get back here for the cup final against either Rangers or Celtic. That will be decided tomorrow, but Falkirk need to respond. They need to just stay calm, plenty of time to draw level and make a game of it. But what a start for Billy Dodd's men, as Shaw rides one challenge and then plays it forward, and that could have been an advantage there, as Inverness Cally Thistle query the decision of Nick Walsh to blow up.
Yeah, he was a bit quick, wasn't he, just to make that call. I think the reaction of the players initially, I don't know if Inverness quite expected to get out of the challenge right enough.
And Daniel Mackay was off and running, and he's a speedy player down that left-hand side. He could have been in on goal. As it is, it's an Inverness Cali Thistle free kick just inside their own half. Taken by Deeds. Launched long across the pitch, but Falkirk hack it clear. Need to begin to put their foot on the ball as it's played forward by Devine, veteran of the 2015 final. Donaldson plays it forward for Falkirk. Inverness Cali Thistle back towards their own goal, and it's Devine back to Mark Ridgers, who launches it long up to the halfway line. Mackay beaten in there by Williamson. Williamson plays it forward, but he's given himself too much to do here, and Dees just comfortably keeps that, knocks it to Welsh, who plays it back to his goalkeeper again. Goes first time with Burrell closing him down. McGinn picks up in the middle of the park for Falkirk. Feeds it over the top, and that's a decent ball for Morrison. Not a great first touch, but does manage to work it into the 6-yard box. But at his near post, Matt Ridgers gathers that. Morrison's first touch just gave him too much to do there, and he couldn't really pull the cross back far enough to test Inverness Cali Thistle backline. 1-0 Cali Thistle lead, almost 10 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, it was a nice ball actually over the top from Stephen McGinn, well controlled. Morrison makes the wrong decision. For me, I actually thought he should just have turned back out of play and just kept the ball alive in that final third. Just a rash decision to try and get that cross inside the box. And those are the moments that Falkirk, they find themselves behind in the game as early as this. Don't start to make decisions that you wouldn't normally do.
Here come Cali Thistle again, looking for a second. It's Allardyce into Shaw, 25 yards from goal. Central area, McGinn trying to hold him up, gets a good foot in. Cali Thistle though will pick up the loose ball, and it's Duffy out to Henderson, whose cross drew the penalty kick off the fingers of the unfortunate Leon McCann. Does that penalty kick, that award, come under the harsh variety for you two? Or under by the letter of the law, is it a correct decision?
It's a correct decision. It's consistent from what we've seen this season. As a player, you're furious because there's no intent from Leon McCann to handle the ball, and it is the way that his body's rotated. But the reality is he's a player that's not played with VAR long enough to understand.
Ridgers in trouble. Could be a chance here for Callum Morrison for the equaliser off the post. Burrell on the rebound. Can he get a shot? And he can't. Tight angle, and it's scrambled behind. Callum Morrison passes up a huge opportunity from 25 yards with a goal gaping. And the offside flag has now gone up, I think against Burrell, but Morrison, what a chance, and off the uprights. He couldn't punish Ridgers for the mistake, and it remains Falkirk 0, Inverness Cali Thistle 1.
Has to score, Al. How has he not scored there? I know it's a pressure situation, but he's just got to roll it in the net. Unbelievable from Callum Morrison. Now Falkirk will take confidence from that. The last couple of times Callum Morrison's got in behind, and because of the way Falkirk play, they don't have a big target man up front. It's imperative that they do run in behind to create space for their players who can get on the ball. And Morrison found himself in a position there, but he has to equalise.
That's a huge chance missed. He actually tries to be safe with it, Rory. You know, it's one of those moments that he's probably thought about the occasion and the magnitude of the goal and what it means. Just go and put your foot through the ball. You do it every single day in training, but he's more worried about missing the target than actually scoring and making the difference, and that's where he's got caught in two minds in terms of how he executes it. Good play though, good play from Burrell to chase down and force that error.
Yeah, it was awful from Ridgers, who was caught in two minds with his defender, and Burrell forced the error, but Callum Morrison from about 25 yards, slightly right of centre, side-footed it goalwards, and it just drifted slowly, and as we watched it almost agonisingly whether it was going to go into the net or, as it turned out, off the uprights and away. And Falkirk's first big chance of the game goes a begging, but they've responded pretty well. Some nice football in the middle of the park just a minute ago from Henderson and Kucheravi. They just need to retain their composure, and here they come forward once more. Callum Morrison on the right flank needs to put that miss behind him. He has been a great source of goals and assists for Falkirk this season. It's Williamson trying to get through two Cali Thistle players. No way through for him. It's cleared only as far as McGinn. It's onto the halfway line. And Mackay plays it out to the left-hand side to McCann. McCann forward now for Kennedy. On loan from Rangers, his contract there is up at the end of the season, and likely to depart Ibrox permanently this time. Here's McGinn, who played in the semi-final for St Mirren against Rangers back in 2009 on the losing side that day, as Rangers went on to beat Falkirk in the final, didn't they, Rory?
They did indeed, yes. Just going back to that Callum Morrison chance, I spoke about the impact playing in these occasions can have at Hampden. I'm absolutely convinced if that was in the last round at the Falkirk Stadium against Derry, he rolls that in the net. If it's a standard league game, he rolls that in the net. And that's the difference in these big games, big moments.
Yeah, mentality and psychology of it plays a big role. Here's Donaldson for Falkirk. Asks Williamson to go in behind, but it's a tough ball, and Harper will get there first. Just knocks it out of play though. 14 minutes played. Inverness Cali Thistle with the early advantage. Comes from the penalty spot. Billy Mackay keeping a cool head to slot it past Brian Kinnear after a handball was given against Leon McCann. And Mark Ridgers at the other end has the ball in his possession, clad in luminous yellow, and just launches it from the edge of his penalty area into the Falkirk half. Williamson takes it down, crosses the halfway line right hand side, and then plays the ball into Kennedy. Kennedy swivels away from Harper into the centre circle, and McCann starts to burst down the left hand side. It's still Kennedy, tracked by Allardyce. Out to McCann it goes, left hand side, 15 yards inside the Cali Thistle half. Falkirk keeping the ball. It's Henderson, back the way he goes to McGinn, and McGinn square for Donaldson, about 15 yards inside his own half. Steps forward, and it's back from Henderson to McGinn once more. He just has to be aware of the presence of Billy Mackay, and he was, and he turns away from him, and it's Brad Mackay now, left hand side to McCann, and now Kennedy once more hugging the touchline over on that far side, the left flank for Falkirk. No real desperation to get forward, just keeping the ball, trying to draw Cali Thistle towards them, finding the space. Donaldson will go all the way back to his own goalkeeper, Kinnear. He knocks out to Mackay. He and Donaldson both played over 100 games for today's opponents, and looking to move up into the Championship through the playoffs. Have already guaranteed themselves second spot in League One. Likely they'll play Airdrie, the way things stand in the semi-final of the playoffs, although Arloa might have something to say about that. Plenty more relegation and promotion to be decided, and this afternoon's games will play a big part in deciding who finishes where. For the moment it's Scottish Cup semi-final time, and Inverness Cali Thistle have the advantage, and it's them in possession. It's Harper, left hand side for Cali Thistle, almost at the halfway line. Burrell comes back to stop his progress. Back it goes to Dees. Dees feeds it forward down the left. Falkirk deal with that. Harper plays it back in field, and it's all the way back from Devine to Ridgers once more. Now it comes to Robbie Dees once more. Inverness Cali Thistle not playing with too high a tempo there, quite happy with the way things are going, just settling things down with that one goal advantage early on. They don't need to force anything. Ridgers plays it out to the right hand side, and that's going out of play though. Throw into Falkirk over on the far side. 17 minutes in, 1-0 Cali Thistle. Billy Dawes just makes his way from the edge of his technical area back in towards his coaching staff. Barry Wilson among them, and John McGlynn trying to marshal things from almost the edge of the pitches. Kucheravi picks up right hand side up against Harper, cuts in onto the left foot, lays it back for Kennedy, but 35 yards from goal, spins, gets it back from Morrison. Still Kennedy looking to try and make something happen for Falkirk. Now it comes to McGinn, right hand side, midway inside the Cali Thistle half. Shaw comes across to close him down, and ball's played short to Kucheravi. He tries to tease it into the box. Henderson's not able to get on the end of it. Comfortable take for Ridgers. Is there a Cali Thistle player just got a knock there as the ball came into the box? Duffy just trots back into position, should be okay as Ridgers gathers and then plays it long. Inverness Caley Thistle tending to go pretty much route one in these early stages from the Ridgers kickouts, but that's dealt with. The second ball though is won well by Allardyce. The advantage is played as Daniel Mackay picks up possession, now finds Henderson 25 yards from goal, goes for goal, well over the top, and it could be a word in the ear here for Kucheravi for the challenge on Allardyce earlier, which went unpunished initially. It is just a word in the ear. 18.5 minutes on the clock. Falkirk 0, Inverness Caley Thistle 1.
Yeah, Kucheravi was just a little bit late there. Just a word in the ear from Nick Walsh was enough as he played the advantage. But the last 7 or 8 minutes, I would say Falkirk have had a better handle in the game. As you mentioned, Al, Inverness have looked to be a bit more route one at times when they've regained possession, but Falkirk look to try and find their rhythm, find their flow in the game. Kai Kennedy is causing an awful lot of problems. I think his movement's really good. I actually prefer when I'm seeing him just now than when I've seen him in other games where he is often wide in that left hand side. He's drifting into a more central role, and he's so quick, he's so difficult to mark and get close to it with the movement that he shows. It's making it a tough nut for that Inverness midfield where you try and create that overload centrally, but just nothing really middle to front clear cut as yet.
Aside from the big miss by Callum Morrison, open goal from 25 yards out, hits the post, and that could yet prove to be a really crucial moment for Falkirk as they trail by 1-0 to 0. 20-minute mark approaching. Falkirk have it 20 yards inside their own half. It's Donaldson sliding it forward for Kucheravi, who was a spectator here as his St Johnstone side won a couple of years ago, so he didn't really feel part of that win, having not been in the squad. Wants to create some glory of his own with this Falkirk side on loan from the Saints. Mackay picks up for Falkirk. It's Brad Mackay out to the left hand side to McCann, midway inside his own half, just nudges it forward for Henderson, and now picked up by McGinn. Back in the field to Henderson of Falkirk. Sprays play out to this near side, the Falkirk right. It's a good ball for Williamson, right hand side, looking to get away from Mackay, plays it into the penalty area, knocked away. Good play from Williamson down the right hand side for Falkirk. It's collected by McGinn, but 15 yards inside Caley Thistle territory. Kucheravi just tries to turn away from Welsh. Out to the right hand side it goes to Morrison. Morrison's low ball in, comes off Harper, and it's a Falkirk corner kick, and their fans try to rouse themselves in the team and get right behind them as they look for our equaliser. 21 minutes almost on the clock.
Yeah, Falkirk rotations are really, really good. Leanne's already touched on them. Inverness are having trouble on whether the midfield pick them up, whether it's the defenders, and they're getting a lot of space between the lines. One fault I would pick with Falkirk with that is I think they can move the ball a little bit quicker, and if they do it quicker, it doesn't give Inverness enough time to shuffle across.
Kai Kennedy's corner from the right hand side is a deep one, flicked on by an Inverness head. McGinn gets it back to the edge of the box. Kucheravi's quickly closed down by Henderson. McGinn once more on the angle of the box on the left hand side. Just plays it back the way to McCann, midway now inside. Caley Thistle floats it back into the box. Rising there was Henderson, he couldn't quite reach it. Falls to Morrison, right hand side. Back with Kennedy on the angle on the right hand side this time, trying to dance his way into the penalty on the left foot now. Look to take the shot on. Still he has it, can't find room for the shot. He's eventually dispossessed by Jay Henderson. He's almost crowded out though. It breaks to Burrell, edge of the box. Sliding challenge comes in, and Dees takes plenty of the ball there, despite the Falkirk fans howling for a foul just outside the 18-yard box. It was a meaty challenge, certainly from Dees, an old-fashioned style one, but he did take lots of the ball, and that's why Nick Walsh allowed it to go. And Caley Thistle have it back. Ridgers just takes his eye off the ball as it's played back to him. A couple of nervy moments from the Caley Thistle experienced keeper. Gets away with that one. Falkirk pick up again. It's a good period for the Bairns as Morrison has it, right hand side up against Harper. He's got Williamson with him, still has it though. Morrison eventually dispossessed by Allardyce. Breaks back to Kucheravi, right hand side, plays it into the middle of the park. Mackay has to go back the way, plays a short ball to McCann just inside his own half on the left hand side, feeds it forward, looking for Liam Henderson. Knocked out of play by Devine, but certainly been a better last few minutes from Falkirk as they're dominating possession, pinning Callie Thistle back, Leanne?
Yeah, it's good play. Rory touched on it though, it's that ball speed. The rotations are good from Falkirk. They're actually that good that I think that's why they're then taking the extra touches that they don't necessarily need, because they're finding themselves in free space. But by the time you dribble and you take that extra touch, it's allowing Inverness time to recover. I was watching Billy Dodds a moment or so ago as well, giving it to Mark Ridgers. He took his eye off the ball. You mentioned it, Al, just a lapse in concentration again, and his manager wasn't happy.
Henderson's ball into the box, it's well met by Kucheravi, straight at Ridgers, who gathers that one into his midriff. It was really well met with the forehead of Max Kucheravi, arriving late onto the end of Henderson's ball into the box, and either side of the keeper, and that could have been a real test for Ridgers.
Well, that is the advantage of having Liam Henderson in that position. He's got fantastic quality, and it's a great ball in. It's that good that Kucheravi arrives right on time. He's not particularly big, but he was aggressive, he was strong. Either side of Ridgers, and it's a goal, but it's straight down his throat.
Yeah, as you say, Kucheravi, not the tallest players, but he timed his run to perfection. The ball in to him was really well measured as well, and if he'd just been able to get a bit of an angle on the header, then Falkirk could well have been level. As it is, it remains Falkirk 0, Inverness Callie Thistle 1. We've played 24 minutes of this first Scottish Cup semi-final of the weekend. Rangers against Celtic to come tomorrow. That's live on Sportsound as well. Of course, 1:30 kick-off. Join us for that one as well if you can. Falkirk or Inverness Callie Thistle to play either of the old firm. Inverness Callie Thistle with the upper hand just at the moment, but Falkirk certainly well in the game, although that's a loose pass in the middle of the park. Welsh slides in with Kucheravi. Falkirk at the break of the ball, and it's back with Brad Mackay on the edge of his own penalty area on the left hand side. Short of options, so he just feeds it down the left channel, and Devine can let that run in behind him and then play it back to Ridgers, who sweeps it out to the near side, the Callie Thistle left, to his full-back Harper. Forward it goes to Shaw. Shaw slides it down the left. That's a good looking ball for Mackay, but good recovery from Williamson. And Williamson showed a good turn of pace there, because Daniel Mackay is quick, as I mentioned earlier, but Williamson kept pace with him and slid in to make sure there was no ground to be gained by the Callie Thistle winger there. Still 1-0 Callie Thistle with 25 minutes on the clock.
You can see the difference there when Inverness, they move the ball so quickly. It's popped into Shaw, he pops it back to Harper, he plays the ball down the line, and all of a sudden they've got a throw in the opposition half. Like I say, Falkirk are playing, they're playing well. They're just a little bit slow in possession at times, whereas Inverness haven't had that many opportunities to go forward, but when they do it with purpose.
Callie Thistle throw in left hand side. They'll get another crack at that after it comes back off Donaldson, who was talking during the week about some pretty miserable Hampden memories. He was the man who, as part of the Dundee United team that eventually lost to Hibs in the semi in 2016, but if you remember, he was the man who conceded the penalty that Jason Cummings Panenka'd over the crossbar. But he also was part of the Callie Thistle side that he's actually suspended for the semi-final against Hearts in 2019, so he's looking to improve on those memories. But his side trail by a goal to nil with 26 minutes played here at Hampden. It's Sean Welsh, the Callie Thistle captain, getting it back to Devine, who's certainly got good memories of the National Stadium. Forward it goes from Duffy up towards Billy Mackay, who's barely had a sniff since slotting the penalty, but it's nodded down. It's Allardyce, right hand side of the box, gets it back into the area. Donaldson's there, just knocks it out for a throw-in over on the far side to Callie Thistle. Henderson was thinking about taking that one quickly, but just leaves it to Duffy instead, in line with the 18-yard box. Into Allardyce's feet it goes, and then Duffy gets it back and knocks it in. It's a dangerous one. Donaldson had to deal with that, with Mackay lurking in behind him. Breaks for Henderson, right hand side, sweeps it in. Mackay does get it on the sprint. Good block from Kucheravi coming back. Callie Thistle pick up once more, left hand side of the box is Welsh. Now Harper on the right foot takes this shot on. Billy Mackay got in the way of it but couldn't make anything of it, and Falkirk clear the lines. Up towards the halfway line they come. Burrell making a nuisance of himself, but in steps Dees, nods it down to Allardyce on the halfway line. He spins and plays it to Harper. Harper to the left hand side. Welsh just leaves it to Dan Mackay. He'll come back the way to Harper. Out to the right hand side it goes. Callie Thistle just playing the ball along the back line. Harper once more Down the left it goes. Welsh has stayed out on this left touchline. Back to the fullback Harper. He'll come forward. Burrell gives chase. Harper gets it back once more from Welsh. Patient stuff from Cali Thistle. 28 minutes gone. They lead by a goal to nil. Now it's threaded forward for Henderson. Henderson out to the right hand side. Duffy well advanced, about 15 yards from the goal line. Back to Henderson. His ball in this time is headed away by Brad Mackay, out for a throw in on the far side to Cali Thistle. Should be taken by Duffy, about 15 yards away from the corner flag on that right hand side. Cali Thistle looking to extend their advantage. Throw in taken, looking for Henderson, but it's too much for him. Brad Mackay just sees it out of play. Goal kick to Falkirk. 28.5 minutes played at the National Stadium. League One Falkirk trailing to Championship side Inverness Cali Thistle by a Billy Mackay penalty to nil. But Falkirk's response has been pretty good.
It has been good. It has been good out. They're chipping away at it certain moments, although I think Inverness look dangerous in those turnovers and those transitional moments when Falkirk are flooding the bodies forward, and they just need to be careful with that. You don't want to concede a second goal against the run of play, but you can see the style and the identity about Falkirk. You can look at the way that they've been coached, as we mentioned, the rotations. Kai Kennedy looks to me he's almost got a free role, you know, and everybody else is working off of him, whether he's in that left hand side, he comes centrally, he's come out to the right hand side more often than not. But it is just, again, that ball speed we spoke about it. I think things can be done a lot quicker. Looking at Stephen McGinn just now, a frustrated figure. He's having a go at his back line and how they move the ball. He's having a go at the midfielders and the manner in which they move the ball. And at times it's just not being played forward enough, frequently enough.
Half an hour played at Hampden. Falkirk in possession, looking for the equaliser. It is Kennedy going back the way to Brad Mackay, just outside his own penalty area. Plays it square for Donaldson. Donaldson midway inside his own half. Kucheravi offers himself in the middle of the park, and now Mackay once more. Brad Mackay of Falkirk out to McCann, the player who conceded the early penalty, which was flagged by VAR and awarded by Nick Walsh, the referee. Donaldson slides it forward. Kennedy can't find a teammate, and Inverness Cali Thistle with the chance to break here. Left hand side is Dan Mackay up against Donaldson, who's dragged out, and it's a ball into the 6-yard box from Mackay. Too close to the keeper though. Kinnear was able to gather it and then quickly bowl it out to Liam Henderson, who feeds it forward early for the run of Burrell down the left channel. Back goes the Vines. Burrell left hand side of the penalty area, looking for a couple of teammates to arrive. It's Kennedy, edge of the box, it's blocked there, breaks back to Kennedy, he goes down, claimed for a penalty. Still Burrell might have the chance. Nick Walsh not awarding anything as yet. It's Kucheravi on the edge of the box. His shot is blocked. Falkirk desperately trying to find a way to goal. Another shot from Kucheravi, this time on the right foot, is blocked. Callum Morrison picks up possession, right hand side, 15 yards from the goal line. Tries to swing in the corner. Harper gets a semi-block on it, and Ridgers gathers. Falkirk got a claim for a penalty in the early part of that move as Kennedy hit the deck in the box. The ball hasn't gone dead yet, so VAR hasn't been able to intervene if it's going to. Rory, what was your view?
Initially I thought it looked a penalty, but it's very difficult to tell from the angle that we've got. Trying to look at it at the screen again, but again the angle's not great. It certainly looked like a good shout for a penalty, but Nick Walsh is a lot closer than me. He obviously feels he goes down far too easily, but it's amazing how Falkirk have spent so much time trying to pass the ball around, and that's what we like to see, to be fair. And it was a hoof up the pitch, and Roman Burrell got in behind and caused Inverness all sorts of problems, and it was two fantastic blocks from the defenders from Max Kucherea. His attempts on goal, but you know, it's Route 1 stuff that got them in behind.
Falkirk in possession, ball still hasn't gone out, so still unclear whether there might be another look. Certainly the VAR, who is Alan Muir, has had plenty of time to look at it. The ball is out of play now and it's quickly back in, so we have to assume there was nothing amiss that Alan Muir saw, corroborating Nick Walsh's original view of it. There was a check done, as every incident inside the penalty area is checked. And Falkirk come again. It's Henderson winning a header. Morrison can't get onto at the edge of the penalty area, and it's cleared up to the halfway line. Falkirk have it once more. They've seen plenty of the ball, probably dominating possession, you would say. haven't been able to find an equaliser. Closest they've come is hitting the post from Callum Morrison, an open goal, but here come Caley Thistle looking to break. Billy Mackay holds it up out to the right hand side to Jay Henderson. Early ball in's a good one, the header comes in, it's another goal for Inverness. Caley Thistle as Dan Mackay meets it with a header, and he beats Kinnear low down to his left. A brilliant pick out from Jay Henderson, and what a header from Dan Mackay to make it Falkirk 0, Inverness Caley Thistle 2.
I'm telling you what, Jay Henderson is a dying breed, and he is a striker's dream. No dribbling, no step overs, no fancy play, touch out your feet and deliver. And what a delivery that was, by the way, Al. Right on the head of Daniel Mackay. Fantastic header. Falkirk have missed a similar chance at the other end, but look at this ball in. Unbelievable quality, and the timing of the run and the header to match. 2-0.
It's another turnover though, isn't it, Rory? Where Falkirk are caught, speaking about their shape in possession, where there's that freedom. It's the moments that they've been caught out of possession, they don't recover quickly enough, they don't regain their shape, they don't pick up inside the box. And I know the delivery comes in and it's quick, it's a touch out of feet, but there's one player inside the penalty area. You've got to get close, there's got to be contact. You cannot have a free jump and a free header inside the penalty area. It's a poor goal to lose from a Falkirk perspective, but a brilliant second goal from Inverness.
And Dan Mackay with the second, his 5th goal of the season, has put Inverness Caley Thistle in a really commanding position with just over 10 minutes left to play in this first half. And Falkirk, for all the possession we just spoke about a moment ago, they have fallen 2 goals behind, and it has been ruthless stuff from the Championship side. Billy Dodd's men putting Falkirk to the sword, and it's imperative, you'd have to say, that Falkirk get the next goal if they're to have any hope of progress to the final. Kucheravi has it in the middle of the park.
He's got to pass it there, Al. He's got to do it quickly. He's got to get it out wide. He's got the freedom on the left hand side, the fullback, where he can touch and deliver, but he waits and waits and waits and ends up coming back in the pitch.
Poor challenge from Dan Mackay on Ryan Williamson, and it will be a free kick to Falkirk about 25 yards into the Caley Thistle half, just on the right hand side, about 10 yards in, maybe just a little bit more than that off the touchline. But a chance for Falkirk to throw the ball into the Caley Thistle penalty there, certainly, and ask some questions of their backline and Mark Ridgers, who stands at the edge of his 6-yard box. Caley Thistle trying to hold the line at the edge of the box. It's Kennedy as a header comes in, and it's knocked away eventually. It's just going to be a goal kick. I'm not sure if Liam Henderson just got his header all wrong there, or whether it took a deflection on its way past, but it was certainly an inviting ball in.
I think he gets it all wrong. We'll get a look at it again. But he
just poor execution, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. He's up there and he's trying to get too much on it. He's trying to do everything with the ball, whereas I think if he just goes up and hangs himself there to glance it towards goal, he doesn't need to get too much more power on it, because Mark Ridgers had already committed himself. He was out mid-flight. Instead it goes behind that goal kick.
They can't say they've not had opportunities, Falkirk, in this first half. That one obviously wasn't as clear-cut as the earlier one for Callum Morrison, but nonetheless very presentable in a semi-final. As Caley Thistle pick up possession, it's Welsh back to Allardyce. He knocks it out to Duffy just inside Falkirk half. It's Jay Henderson who is effectively had an assist in both goals so far. His cross leading to the spot kick awarded for the first, and then his sublime cross, you'd have to say, right on the forehead of Dan Mackay for the second. Caley Thistle have won themselves a corner over in this left hand side as they come forward and looking for a third, which might well put the game beyond Falkirk before half time. Billy Dodds coming towards the end of his edge of his technical area again. Looks a calm figure down there, as well you might, with a 2-goal advantage. Again, just trying to get a message on to Mark Ridgers to keep focused. But the action is at the other end for the moment as Henderson stands over the corner. The right-footed winger sends it into the near post. It's cleared only as far as Mackay, almost caught in possession. Eventually it's cleared away by Donaldson up to the halfway line. Harper will get there before Morrison just knocks it back to Ridgers. Ridgers comes out to the just outside his box and plays it forward once more. Caley Thistle have it. And it's Welsh just inside the Falkirk half. Slack pass from him is picked up by his fellow number 4 and captain McGinn. And now McCann picks up for Falkirk, crossing the halfway line, left-hand side. Falkirk could really do with a goal back before the break. Morrison, left-hand side of the box, curls in, it's over Kennedy. Header then came in from Kucheravi, once more arriving late. And it comes off the back of an Inverness Caley Thistle player and away to safety, as the Highlanders survive that 40 forward from Falkirk. Henderson dithering in possession, but does get a throw in over on the far side. Falkirk left, about 20 yards inside the Caley Thistle half. Leo McCann preparing to take, looking for options. One of them is Kai Kennedy, goes into his feet and then played back to the halfway line. It's Donaldson. It's a poor ball forward. He should have been able to find Kucheravi pretty comfortably, but it's off target. And Caley Thistle cough up possession again themselves, and McGinn picks up for Falkirk and plays it short to Donaldson, just inside his own half. This time he does pick out Kucheravi on the half turn, midway inside the Caley Thistle half. Now it's Morrison, right hand side. He's got Williamson moving ahead of him. Takes too many touches though and allows Allardyce to come back and nick possession. And Falkirk really have to make more of such opportunities. 6 minutes to the break. Falkirk 0, Inverness Caley Thistle 2. Mackay's Billy and Daniel on the score sheet for Inverness. As McCann knocks it forward for Falkirk. Again, it's a wayward one. Allardyce plays it forward down the right hand side. Henderson caught the challenge there by McCann. It's going to be a free kick, more or less on the halfway line. Falkirk fans aren't happy, but it looked a reasonable decision as McCann has hurt himself in making that tackle on Jay Henderson. And everything going to plan so far, you'd have to say, for Inverness Caley Thistle.
Yeah, I would say so. Although, funnily enough, I don't think this would have been Billy Dodge's plan going into the game, to set up on the counter-attack. I think he would have wanted to have more of a foothold in the game, but he'll not be complaining at all. And Falkirk need to be careful, because as Leanne's already touched on, Falkirk are most vulnerable when they've got the ball up the pitch. And Inverness will smell blood every time they give it away at Falkirk, so they need to be very, very careful that they're not going in at half-time any more than 2 down. I
think to a point though, Rory, Billy Dodge will have looked at that numbers that Falkirk commit forward, the way they go and play and how they recover out of possession, because it has been their downfall this half. It is the way that they recover, and it's that shape. And actually, when you look at Roman Burrell up top and the movement of the front three, actually at times it's difficult to pin them down to link the game, because there's so much movement. Whereas you look at Inverness, they regain possession, they've got a focal point in Billy Mackay, they've got players off the sides that double up and support, and you've got your midfielders that anchor and protect, and you push one forward. It's really simple stuff through Inverness, and Falkirk are probably overcomplicating their own game just now.
It is a free kick to Falkirk. Some ironic cheers from the Falkirk fans, who perhaps feel they haven't had the decisions from the officials so far. But it's Kinnear to take it just outside his penalty area on the left hand side, knocks it long. We've got 4 minutes left of this first period, plus probably a bit of added on time to come. Falkirk trail by 2-0. It's McCann with a throw in over on the far side, but 10 yards inside the Caley Thistle half. Plays it in for his captain McGinn, who's inside the centre circle, spins and knocks it back out to the left hand side. McCann has to just come back 2 or 3 yards, plays it to Henderson. Henderson with a poor pass straight out of play, and Falkirk really can't afford to be as lax as that in possession, because Inverness Caley Thistle, as I mentioned earlier, have been pretty ruthless. And here they come once more. It's up to Mackay inside the penalty area. It's Dan Mackay turns and then over the top. Sean Welsh is looking for the layoff, but Daniel Mackay has already got one and was looking for a second goal. That one's over the top, and it remains Falkirk 0, Inverness Caley Thistle 2.
The 2 centre-backs of Falkirk need to sort themselves out, Mackay and Donaldson, because it's exactly the same run that Mackay makes, and it's not a complicated run. It's just a left-hand side winger coming in the pitch when the ball's on the right-hand side for a cross. It shouldn't cause so much difficulty, but it seems to every time it happens. But again, Falkirk architects of their own downfall with that wayward pass from Henderson.
You know where it's come from, Rory, though, is the middle of the pitch. The middle of the pitch for Falkirk, the quality in possession just now is way off it, and it comes from the 2 centre-backs thinking that they're safe and they're in possession and they're holding areas to keep the ball. Henderson loses it and it's that turnover, and then you're faced with those problems. It's just a real lack of quality, real complacency again, expecting to have time in the ball that you just don't have.
Falkirk have it left hand side. Kai Kennedy about 20 yards inside Cali Thistle territory. Henderson now feeds it forward up looking for Burrell. Burrell does win the knockdown. Morrison can't get there ahead of the Cali Thistle defenders though, and Duffy knocks it clear up towards the halfway line. Cali Thistle looking comfortable, albeit on the defensive just at the moment, as Donaldson plays it into the feet of McGinn. McGinn for Kennedy, left hand side. McCann's outside of him on the touchline, plays it back into the feet of Morrison, who's bundled to the ground by Duffy. Falkirk will get the free kick more or less midway inside the Cali Thistle half, out on the left, and perhaps a late opportunity in this first half for Falkirk to get something back and give themselves something to build on going into the second period. The free kick is taken short this time, down the left to McGinn. Now it goes back out to Kennedy on the left touchline. Up against Shaw, takes him on the outside. It's a good ball in. Donaldson couldn't force it goalwards, and then he's caught a Cali Thistle player late in there, and it's going to be a free kick to Inverness Cali Thistle. Donaldson didn't make any connection with the ball as it came in from Kennedy. Caught Allardyce, I think it is, of Inverness, and it will be a free kick to Billy Dodd's men inside their own penalty area, relieving a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, it was just his momentum took him into, I think it was Robbie Dees there. I don't think it was anything more than a foul. I think the referee gets that spot on. Looked worse than it actually was.
Yep, just a free kick awarded. Falkirk pick up inside their own half. Inside the final minute of the first period, the regulation 45 at least, as we await David Dickinson, the fourth officials board. There's a heavy challenge there from Robbie Dees, and he'll go into Nick Walsh's book for that challenge on Kai Kennedy. Free kick to Falkirk on the halfway line. Here comes the fourth officials board as we just tick into stoppage time, and there's going to be 2 minutes of that as Cole Donaldson prepares to take the free kick from a couple of inches inside his own half. Plays it out to the right hand side to Williamson, and now it's Kennedy right hand side. Can he try and create one last opportunity for Falkirk? He's on a different wavelength from Kucheravi there, and Allardyce nips in to take possession for Cali Thistle, who will come forward themselves. It's Billy Mackay out to the right hand side for Henderson. Henderson up against McCann. Duffy goes ahead of him. Henderson goes inside, then back outside. It's Duffy right at the penalty area. Tries to catch Kinnear out, and he just touches it onto the roof of the net, and it will be an Inverness Cali Thistle corner. I think Duffy was just trying to catch the keeper out, who just come a couple of yards off his goal line, and eventually just touches it over the top, and Cali Thistle ending the first half on the offensive.
Well, Falkirk have had two opportunities in the last 2 minutes to get a good ball into the box. They've waited till their two centre backs go up and then played the ball short, tried to play it round them, and ended up running back the way. Sling the ball in, there's a minute till half time, try and score a goal. Inverness have got a chance now to get a third.
Yeah, they do. Corner kick from the right hand side. Plenty of bodies inside the Falkirk 6-yard box. Very, very crowded as it's swung in. Shaw, but it's too much on it, and it's straight behind for a goal kick to Falkirk. And a disappointing end to that particular move. I know Billy Dodds prides himself on the set piece scenarios he builds, but Shaw unable to deliver on that occasion. 20 seconds left of stoppage time. Falkirk 0, Inverness Cali Thistle 2 in this Scottish Cup semi-final at Hampden. It's played up to the halfway line by Kinnear. McCann helps it on down the left hand side. Kennedy just loops it over his head. Morrison will try to make something of that, but across goes Robbie Dees and knocks it into the stand over on the far side, and it's the Cali Thistle fans who rise in applause of their side's efforts in the first half. They go in with a 2-goal advantage, and they had the early advantage thanks to Billy Mackay's penalty 4 minutes in, and Jay Henderson crossed from the right hand side. It took a slight nick off the fingers almost of Leon McCann, And although Nick Walsh didn't make the initial award, VAR Alan Muir drew him across to the monitor, and after another look, he pointed to the spot to the referee, and up stepped Billy Mackay to put Inverness Cali Thistle in front. Callum Morrison, just 7 minutes later, had a massive opportunity to draw Falkirk level, but with the goal gaping 25 yards out after a Ridgers error, Morrison hit the post. Kucheravi had a header straight at Ridgers midway through the half, and then on 33 minutes Cali Thistle doubled up as Henderson again was the architect from the right hand side. A wonderful ball right onto the head of Daniel Mackay this time, and from about 10 yards he planted the header low past Brian Kinnear to make the half-time scoreline at Hampden in the Scottish Cup semi-final. Falkirk 0, Inverness Cali Thistle 2.
The Scottish Cup,
Live on Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
where Scottish football lives.
They had to work really, really hard for that.
They are chance takers.
And Warriors power over the line.
They are history makers.
Glasgow in the semi-finals in Europe for the first time in their history.
They are Glasgow Warriors.
It's fantastic for the club. The Warrior Nation can be proud.
After beating Lions, a huge test lies ahead in the European Challenge Cup.
It will be Scarlets in Llanelli.
Live on Sports Sound Rugby.
And Warriors are over for the score.
Today from 5:30 on digital radio, or ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Scotland Extra.
So, in the first Scottish Cup semi-final at Hampden Park, Falkirk 0, Inverness Cali Thistle 2 at half-time. Billy Mackay from the penalty spot on 7 minutes. Daniel Mackay doubling the advantage on 34 minutes. Tom English is there alongside Rory Loy and Leanne Crichton. Tom, is that a bit harsh on Falkirk, that half-time score?
I don't think so, Kenny, to be honest. I think Falkirk had a lot of ball. A lot of possession, but all a bit tippy-tappy, all a bit one-paced. They have created a few chances, haven't taken them. Obviously, the one from Morrison was the golden chance, and they fluffed it. But they're so vulnerable, as the lads are saying, they're so vulnerable on the counter-attack. They're a bit naive, and when they lose possession, and they're losing it more often as the half goes on, they're putting themselves more at risk. Inverness have given away a lot, certainly earlier in the match. Inverness gave away a lot of possession as well. You know, a lot of hoofball going on there. But they've settled into the game, and you always get the feeling, even though they're not playing great, that once they get it right, that they'll score again, because they have the players. I mean, I think there's a difference between these. There's a whole division that separates them. I was a bit surprised with Rory and Leanne saying both tipping Falkirk. I was hoping you'd come to me, because I'd look very clever now, Kenny, because I'm not being wise mid-event, but I would have emphatically gone for Inverness.
Yeah.
Because I just think they're in a higher division. They're playing against better opposition. They're on a good run. Falkirk are in a lower division, playing against lower class of opposition, and are not on a good run. I think it all pointed to an Inverness win for me.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to come to Tom for his prediction, Leanne, but yourself and Rory felt this was a day for Falkirk. Tom doesn't think that half-time scoreline is harsh on the Bairns. Would you agree with that?
Well, we can all look smart with a prediction when it's 2-0, isn't it? You've not
Good on you,
I've
Leanne.
not actually been asked for your opinion.
I'd write it in blood.
I'll need to remember that anytime I've not been able to get my tuppence worth in at the start, that I'll claim to have predicted that this is the way the game would have gone.
Leanne. Very cynical. Very cynical.
I'm only coming for you because you said the lads said anyway. So anyway,
well, lads, sorry, no, hang on a second.
Not that I hold grudges, Tom. But
No. In Ireland, lads means it's
all right,
male
okay,
and female.
okay.
Our version of guys.
You know stuff like that doesn't actually bother me anyway.
I know, you're just winding me up.
Yeah, I'm just frustrated that I
As
didn't
usual.
get the prediction right.
Will they
not-
be frustrated? Will Falkirk be frustrated? They seem to have been in the game for long spells, and they've had opportunities, Leanne.
No, they'll be frustrated because they've had possession, and we know that. We look at games week in, week out, Kenny, and we look at the stats and the possession and the passes and the entries into the final third, but the reality is that doesn't win you football matches. Now, the VAR decision early on, you asked me earlier, would it play its part? You know, would it was right straight away? It was a talking point. It was a decision. It's an inexperience from the players that haven't operated with it, in the manner in which you defend your box. and Leon McCann was caught out with that. Now, from what we've seen this season, it's a stonewall penalty based on the handball decisions. It's as close as you'll get to everybody agreeing, I think, that it's a handball. It comes off the hand that's outstretched from the body. Yes, it rotates, etc., but in the current game just now, it's a penalty. So your back's to the wall, you're 1-0 down inside the opening 6 minutes of the game. So it's a tough one for Falkirk, because they are the underdogs, regardless of how Rory and I predicted the game might go. And that was probably the old Scottish Cup dream, that you go for the underdog, and you look at the way, you know, Rory's a former Falkirk player, so he was seeing it from that perspective. I was looking at the young talent in the Falkirk side, the flair players that they've got, the way they move the ball, the fact that they put out Ayr United in the last round in a game that I was there as well, that I thought they showed real character and resilience at points. They then progressed in the tie. The stars then align with the fact that you avoid the Old Firm and this type of draw in the semi-final. So it is what it is, but goals win you football matches, and Inverness have managed the game really well. A couple of scary moments from Mark Ridgers, which I said during commentary. Billy Dodds had a go at him. He wasn't impressed with the fact that he wasn't switched on and he wasn't focused. Luckily for him, he got away with the first one, because Callum Morrison doesn't hit the target when he should just smash the ball into the back of the net and you're in level terms, which then changes the complexity of the game. And then against the run of play, Inverness get that second goal, which is real quality. They get the turnover, they get the ball wide, they get players in the box, and it's an excellent cross and it's an excellent header. They're well worthy of their 2-0 lead in this game, because as much as Falkirk have dominated possession, I don't think middle to front they've shown enough quality and ruthlessness that you need in cup football especially. Other games you might get opportunities, other situations and scenarios over the course of a season you might get to right those wrongs. It's a one-off game, you don't get to do that, so it's a huge 15 minutes that John McGlynn has got with his side in there to speak to them, to change things, whether he'll look to his bench just now, whether he'll tweak that system. He spoke about 2 formations that they had worked on this week. Well, so far plan A hasn't worked, so he'll need to revert to plan B very, very soon.
Go back to the penalty award, Leanne. I know instinct plays a huge part. The ball's coming across, you move your arms in a certain way, but do you believe that if the Falkirk players had been used to operating under VAR week in, week out, we probably wouldn't have seen the player act like that?
Probably, yeah, because I think Leon McCann gets used to the fact that he needs to, as he turns his body, tuck his arms behind his back and make himself as straight and streamlined as he possibly can, and then the ball enters the box, and what you need to do then is go and deal with the fact that you've been unable to stop the cross, as opposed to the ball flicking off the hand. So it's a tough one, it's a sore one, and at that stage of the game, as I say, it puts you in the back foot really early on.
The fact that Nicholas doesn't give the decision as well, Leanne, proves that you probably get away with it in League One.
Yeah.
Yes, good point.
Well, I mean, but listen, VAR is no mystery. No. To McCann, he's not playing in a league with VAR. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, he's not playing in a league with VAR, but he's watching these games, so he knows the law these days. I think
it just becomes habit, though, Tom. It's very similar to the Nicola Docherty penalty that we conceded at the World Cup in 2019, where again our body rotates and our arm comes out, and that was the first time that we had used it at that tournament. So it does take a bit of getting used to on the pitch. We can all sit in our couches on a Saturday night and be VAR experts, or sit in a studio on a Saturday afternoon and be VAR experts when we see it time and time again. But you're in the heat of the moment, and as I say, that early on in the game, it probably catches you a bit off guard. I think
it is. I agree. I think it is a penalty, but I do have a bit of sympathy for him, because he's so close. The ball is out of from the side momentarily, and it flicks off of it. It's not like he's absolutely hit it right in the middle of his arm. It's just flicked off the side of his arm.
Nor is he denied a goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah, there's none of that. It is a penalty, but I do feel sorry. Do feel sorry for the defender there, because there's not a lot else he can do.
It's interesting, Rory, what you're saying in commentary about the occasion perhaps getting to Callum Morrison. He really should have scored. That was just 7 minutes after they fell behind.
Yeah, I mean, like I said in commentary as well, I think if it's a league game, he puts that away, tucks it in the net. And he did have a wee half second to think about it because of the way the ball broke to him. He was stepping onto it. It wasn't just a quick reaction. And I think that probably worked against him in that particular moment. With it being handed, they're 1-0 down. It's a big chance. I mean, he's got to score. There's no two ways about it. It's not a particularly difficult finish on the angle. It's just the pressure and the nerves that have got to him on the occasion. he was a little bit tentative with it, rolled it a bit slower than you would imagine he would have normally. And it was just the occasion that got to him, and that's how it can affect players. And we're quite often you hear pundits and guys talking about cliches and things like that, but you say these cliches because they're relevant, and the occasion did get to him, because that's not normally what Callum Morrison would do, but the pressure got to him. But Falkirk have been okay to an extent, but I totally agree with Leanne. Inverness deserve their 2-0 lead. They've taken their chances, whereas Falkirk haven't, and they've made the most of any attacks they have had. So I do think they're worthy of their 2-0 lead, despite Morrison's miss. And I think John McGlynn will be pretty disappointed, because if they commit too many men forward earlier on in this second half, they could get hit in the counter again and the game's done. So it's a fine balance, and it'll be interesting to see what they change at half time, because I expect them to change something. If it's not personnel, then certainly tactically.
Is it the occasion, Rory and Leanne, that got to him in that moment, or is it the fact that he hasn't scored in 8 games?
The occasion for me, Tom. I still believe that. Has he had a chance like that in the last 8 games? We don't know. Yeah, you don't know. But he's been influential this season, and that's not to say he hasn't played well in the last 8 games, and his confidence is high. If he wasn't playing well, he wouldn't have been in the team. So for me, if you're asking me, I think based on that opportunity and that chance and how tentatively he hit it, I genuinely think it's the occasion.
What about then the occasion, Tom? Speak to us about that. I hadn't heard the attendance. There was talk of around about 15,000 there at Hampden this afternoon. What does it feel like there?
Yeah, look, I'm just engrossed in the game, to be honest. When the goals go in, you can hear the Inverness supporters for sure. There's obviously more from Falkirk. It's you wouldn't get blown away with the atmosphere.
Yeah.
How could you? The vast areas of Hampden that are completely deserted. We all knew that coming in here. So you just focus on the game. I don't think it's been an interesting game. I think, I feel slightly guilty about criticising Falkirk, because they're trying to play nice football, and they're knocking it about. But it's all a little bit harmless. They haven't had a few chances, but largely it's a bit harmless. As Leanne and Rory saying, they just need to up the pace a little bit, be a bit more direct. But Inverness, once they get in good positions, they look dangerous, and their danger is increasing as increased as the half went on. Yeah. I think Falkirk have to score, and they have to score fairly quickly. If it goes with 3, obviously they're gone. But they need to pull it back to make a game of this.
The lone striker, Tom's massive as well. You see the difference. I don't think Roman Burrell's a particularly big guy who wants to take the ball in and be strong, but Billy Mackay's the same, but he manages to influence the game, whereas Burrell at big moments he gives the ball away, or Dees nicks in front of him. Mackay always does enough to maybe sweep it into a wide area, score a goal, make a run. It's just that bit of experience. I think they need a little bit more from Burrell up there himself. You'd
have been proud, Rory, of that finish for the second goal. A really nice header from Daniel Mackay. Daniel Mackay.
Daniel Mackay, yeah. I can't claim to scored many headers in my career, I must say. I wasn't the bravest, but that was certainly it was a great run, great timing. It's one of those as well where he just needs to head it straight into the corner. The power's behind the ball. He's got momentum because he's running, and he heads it straight into the corner. But credit to him, because Maciej Kucharewicz had a chance very, very similar and missed it. So great goal, and I love Jay Henderson on the right hand side. I just love how old-fashioned he is. Touch and deliver, striker's dream. None of this cutting back, striker having to make 3, 4, 5 runs and check their runs. So I think Henderson's been excellent in the first half for Inverness.
Let's see then if Falkirk can find a way back into this when they trail by 2-0. Falkirk up against Inverness, Cally Thistle for a place in the Scottish Cup final. Live from Hampden Park, Leanne Crichton, Rory Loy and Alistair Lamont.
Thanks again, Kenny. Neither side have made any changes in terms of personnel at the break, so we'll keep an eye on whether there's been any tactical tweaks. You would imagine Billy Dodds certainly will be very happy with the way things are going in terms of the setup, and Falkirk, if anything, might have to think about changes pretty soon if there's no change in the scoreline to their advantage early on in the second period. Will be Inverness, Cally Thistle who'll get us back underway. They go from left to right as we look at it from our vantage point high up in the south stand. There's Nick Walsh's whistle for this second half, and Cally Thistle looking to succeed where they failed back in 2019 in the semi-final, and get back to the point where they did 8 years ago, and then went on to lift the trophy against today's opponents in the semi-final against either Rangers or Celtic. The ball's back with Brian Kinnear, the Falkirk keeper. He bowls it out to Cole Donaldson. And Donaldson just clips it up towards Burrell. Again, he's well watched by Devine. Breaks the way of Henderson, Jay Henderson, that is, in the middle of the park for Cali Thistle. Brave header by Cole Donaldson to win it back. Then Burrell and Dees contest a 50-50, and the Inverness Cali Thistle defender just comes out on top in that particular battle. Back with Ridgers, who first time launches it over the halfway line. Comes to Devine. Slightly rushed clearance. Nodded on by Kucheravi, but it breaks away. Jay Henderson. John McGlynn was looking for a free kick in there somewhere, but Henderson takes it down the line, and there's another good looking ball, and it's just away from Billy Mackay. Might come out of the box to Dan Mackay, and now back with Welsh midway inside the Falkirk half. Cali Thistle skipper looking to dictate play in the middle of the park. Back it goes to Dees, and now all the way back to Ridgers. Inverness Cali Thistle don't need to rush anything. Dees taking a chance up against Callum Morrison, but very much gets away with it. Good bit of play from the centre back. Harper now, and now Allardyce takes over for Cali Thistle. Allardyce with a big switch of play out to the right hand side. Too high for Henderson, and it's out of play for a Falkirk throw. Noticed any tactical changes as yet from Falkirk, Rory?
No, I don't know if he's maybe going to give it 5-10 minutes, John McGlynn, because Henderson still seems to be pulling out to this left-hand side at times, and they've got a lot of rotation up the top end of the pitch. Maybe he wants to give it another 5-10 minutes for plan A, as Leanne was talking about, but before shuffling it around. I don't see any great changes, and certainly one consistent is Jay Henderson's delivery, because that was another fantastic delivery. Very unlucky that Billy Mackay doesn't get in the end of it. Free kick has gone the way of Cali Thistle, midway inside their own half. As Falkirk try to impose themselves on the game, but they found it difficult to do so. Things might have been very different if they'd managed to grab that equaliser shortly after going behind. Callum Morrison hitting the post rather than the back of the net. And that was before Daniel Mackay doubled the lead. So 2-0 Inverness Cali Thistle in this Scottish Cup semi-final. 3 minutes into the second period as Henderson hoists it forward. Cross comes Brad Mackay, finds McCann. McCann does well to get it down the line to Liam Henderson, still midway inside his own half. Now it's McGinn. McGinn plays it square to Williamson. Out on that far side now, the Falkirk rights, Callum Morrison. Back with Williamson, just inside his own half. Kucheravi now. And Cole Donaldson, who's getting the treatment from the Cali Thistle fans. Not sure if his departure from the club was a particularly acrimonious one, but he's done something to incur their wrath as he plays it forward. Now it's a good ball actually for Kennedy out to the left hand side of the Cali Thistle box. Drops the shoulder, trying to get away from Duffy. Across goal it goes, and at the near post Dan Devine was in a good position to knock it behind for a Falkirk corner. Good bit of play there from Kai Kennedy.
Yeah, better play out, just holding his width. I actually thought he had strayed marginally offside, but he's worked the feet well. Looked to get the angle, and he's won his side a corner.
Left hand side it will be Kennedy to take. Falkirk looking for a way back into the game. It's a deep one, comes to Donaldson, but he can't sort out his feet to get that back on target, and it's wide of Matt Ridgers' left hand post. And with 4 minutes of the second half gone, it's still Falkirk 0, Inverness Cali Thistle 2.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a little block in there. I think there was. It's been worked on, and I think Donaldson, it takes him by surprise.
I don't know why it takes him by surprise, Rory, because he's a target.
Exactly, aye. So they've obviously worked on it. So why does he not take it down on his instep? You know, I know it takes a lot of composure to do that in that area as a centre back, but you're still thinking he just looked like he swiped at it and a little bit nervous, didn't he?
He's thought more about the run and the movement and the block and actually working that scenario, and completely switches off by the time the ball gets to him. He gets it completely wrong. It's a big chance, because when you work on those things and it's stuff off the training ground, there's nothing more frustrating from a John McGlynn perspective than when your players switch off and they don't execute it as well as you think they can.
It's Burrell flicking it down the right flank, but Cali Thistle pick up possession, and here's Shaw. And Shaw brings Duffy into play, and then Duffy tries to slide it on the inside of McCann for Henderson, but the fullback read it. Caley Thistle win it back and play it forward once more. Brad Mackay there first to play it to Kinnear. Kinnear clears long up towards Kennedy. Kennedy nods it down, but Allardyce steps in. So good at reading the play and just tidying things up in the middle of the park. And he's a player who's been so important to Billy Dodds, and any success they've had is being in the team usually helps the side get a positive result. Here's Henderson, right hand side for Caley Thistle. Another inviting ball in. Brad Mackay backpedaling to just get the head to that and knock it clear. Callum Morrison picks up for Falkirk, but it's another brilliant ball in from Jay Henderson. You've got to imagine that he can go back to St Mirren and really impose himself and be a part of that team in the Premiership, because he's got such quality in his delivery.
Yeah, you would expect so. He's been a really good player this season. He's been a standout this afternoon. Rory's touched on the type of quality coming off the sides really early on in the game. It's an old-fashioned style of play that he's got.
Here's Kucheravi though for Falkirk, about 30 yards from goal, leaves it to Kennedy, looking for a way round Duffy. Callum Morrison comes and offers him some support out to the right hand side. It goes to Williamson, coming in towards the angle of the box, looking to take Mackay on the outside. Comes off Mackay, and it'll be another Falkirk corner, and the fans over in that corner, they're right behind their side. They're desperate for a goal to really make a cup tie of this game in the second half, as Kennedy goes across to take the corner, this time from the right hand side. Can they work another opportunity here, the League One side, and get back into the game? Ridgers stands tall inside his 6-yard box as Kennedy with the outswinger. It's headed away by Billy McCann. Here could be a counter-attack, and Dan Mackay's one-on-one with McCann. Can he take him on and get the shooting opportunity? Goes for goal from about 40 yards and is way off target, Dan Mackay. And Billy Dodds from the edge of the technical area asked him, why on earth did you choose that option?
Yeah, I think he was bemoaning the lack of support, but I don't know what he expects when they were defending a corner. Shaw was breaking his neck to try and get up with him. He did look up, but strange decision in the end. I think if you're realising you're going to get caught, turn out, keep possession, keep the ball rolling over.
It looked like a decent chance in the counter that for Caley Thistle, and Dan Mackay, as I've mentioned a couple of times, is a real pacey player. I thought he could have tried to take McCann on one-on-one, but in the end he went for a goal from long distance and was way off target. Here's Callum Morrison for Falkirk down the right hand side, looking to get away from Harper. Plays a ball off Harper, and it's yet another Falkirk corner at the start of this second half. They're beginning to tot up, but they're not totting up with the goals yet. They need to do so.
Well, he needs to beat Billy Mackay at the front post for a start, because he's tiny. Billy Mackay, he's in that front post area for a reason, to defend it, but if you can't get the ball over his head, there's something wrong. You need to put it right on Ridgers, in my opinion. He looks a little bit nervy, and then go and attack the ball.
Players jostling in and around the penalty spot as the corner comes in from the right hand side. And it's behind for another corner off the head of Dan Devine this time. Brad Mackay, the closest Falkirk player to making anything of it, but it's corner on the left. Kai Kennedy to take. Falkirk need to make something of this period of pressure. Kennedy plays it short this time to Kucheravi. Back to Kennedy it comes, left hand side of the box into the penalty area. Burrell gets the first contact on it, can't get the shot away on the turn though, and Inverness Caley Thistle clear their lines, and Falkirk are creating half chances and they're just not able to take any of them.
Yeah, they are. They changed to the way they're playing in this second half is the wide areas. Cal Morrison and Kai Kennedy stretching the game, hanging on to that wide area as much as they possibly can. That's why they've had the success in the three corners that they've managed to win, because they're going down the outside rather than coming in the pitch constantly looking for those rotations and those types of movements. But it's the quality of the delivery, and the movement inside the box has to be better. If that's your tactic and you're looking to win those wide area battles and set pieces, you've got to make more of them.
10 minutes into the second period, Falkirk 0, Inverness Caley Thistle 2. Stick with us. Later on we've got commentary of Morton against Queen's Park, another massive game in the Championship, and what we do know is that the title race will go to the final day of the season, with Dundee drawing with Cove last night, and that game, Dundee away to Queen's Park on the final Friday, will be live on BBC Scotland. But for the moment, it's centre stage at Hampden for the Scottish Cup semi-final, the first of those between League One Falkirk and Championship side Inverness Thistle, who have a 2-goal advantage and looking to increase that here as Shaw plays it out to the left. There's another great ball into the box. Billy Mackay! 3-0 Inverness Thistle! And that could be that as the deadly striker notches once more. Another brilliant delivery. And Billy Mackay on the end of it to make it Falkirk 0, Inverness Thistle 3.
Well, the quality of the delivery and the quality of the finishing has been second to none from Inverness. This time it comes from the other side. John McGlynn must have told his fullbacks at half-time, you need to engage. You need to engage quicker to stop those balls coming in. You know, Billy Mackay does what Billy Mackay does. Fantastic run. Really, really good. He actually makes a good run in the build-up as well to create the space for the wide man. You'll see him here peeling out. Creates all the space down the left-hand side. Right in the danger area, exactly where you want it. A cool, calm and collected side foot finish. Game over for me, Leanne. It
is, yeah, no, absolutely. It would take something astronomical for Falkirk to get themselves back in this game, and it's the basic principles again from a defensive perspective. You've got a target man inside the box, you've got a clinical striker, and at no point is there a single bit of contact to him as he moves and works his way and finds a space. Don't get me wrong, the movement's brilliant, the finish is absolutely top drawer for this level, but Falkirk have got to be scratching their heads how they've managed to get themselves into this type of situation. I've got no idea.
This is 100th Inverness Thistle goal. How fitting for such a servant to the club that he should score it at Hampden and in such a huge occasion, which more or less you would have to feel clinches their place in the Scottish Cup final. It's been some couple of months for Billy Dawes' side. Got themselves back in the promotion race, and they are making short work of this semi-final. 3 goals up. It was the 2 Mackays this time who combined, both in the score sheet already, and Daniel Mackay from the left-hand side. Well, another brilliant delivery, and Billy Mackay timed his run to perfection, well onside, and the side foot at the back post, back across Kinnear, as Thistle 3-0 up. It's going to be a triple change for Falkirk imminently, as they desperately need to get something in quickly, but you'd have to sense that it's a forlorn hope. Well, John McGlynn, the changes should have come. I know it's easy to say now, should the changes have come earlier?
They should have, Al. They should have, because I don't think it, as much as I mentioned the success with the 3 corners that Falkirk had managed to win and get themselves higher up the pitch in certain moments, they've not offered enough over the course of the game. I think they've been overrun in the middle of the pitch. I don't think there's been enough security. I don't think there's enough legs in there. When you look at the recovery and the way that they recover out of possession, and they don't have that focal point in attack. And at 2-0 down, the next goal was vital. You had to ensure that you got that next goal to make this a proper cup tie and to get yourselves back in the game. And John McGlynn has waited and hoped that plan A was going to work, and now to throw 3 boys on at 3-0 down, they've got really not an awful lot of hope that they can get themselves back in the game. But for them, it's an opportunity to go and prove that they should have started the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I said at the top of the show, on high level, that the game could be won and lost in the wide areas. Of course you need Billy Mackay to stick it in the back of the net, but you look at the two sides and you look at the players who can influence the game. Kennedy and Morrison, they've been in and out of the game. They've not really affected it going forward. They've had a lot of the ball but not done much with it. And then, you know, you look at Henderson, Mackay, Billy and Daniel. I mean, they've been immense. They really have. They've not seen an awful lot of the ball in the final third, but what they've done with it has been pretty spectacular, I must say.
Brian McLaughlin, I think, can bring us news of the 3 players who are going to come on for Falkirk, Brian.
Yeah, still waiting details on who will be coming off, but number 10 Aidan Nesbitt, number 16 Matthew Wright, and number 18 Gary Oliver will be the players coming on. Gary Oliver with 10 goals already so far. The board's just going up right now. The first player being replaced will be 19 Roman Burrell, with Gary Oliver replacing him up front. The second board is going up now. 2 boards also being used here this afternoon. Callum Morrison, who missed that glorious opportunity in the first half, he's been replaced by Matthew Wright, and that will mean that Aidan Nesbitt will be the final player whose number goes up, number 10, and he'll be replacing number 23 Max Kusheravi.
Thanks, Brian. John McGlynn rolling the dice, but looks like it's probably too late on the hour mark to do that. Callum Morrison trips back in towards the Falkirk dugout, and he will look back ruefully on that miss at 1-0 down with just 11 minutes on the clock, hitting the post with the goal gaping. Mark Ridgers out of position, and if that had gone in, it could have been oh so different. But Cali Thistle with a commanding 3-0 advantage as Falkirk come forward and look to try and get the next goal. They might have a chance here. They're in behind, just breaks to the left-hand side, and eventually goes behind. And Nick Walsh points for a goal kick, and again, it's a half chance that Falkirk don't make the most of.
Real lack of belief, I think, as well, when they get into that final third, that they can actually score a goal. I know he's just on the pitch, Matthew Wright, but I mean, he's looked up there and passed it straight to an Inverness shot. You know, a wee bit of composure, look up, lift your head, you've got time. Easier said than done, of course, but that for me is a huge opportunity.
Yeah, it's always easy, isn't it, Rory, when we stand up here and watch the game?
Of course.
Inverness Cali Thistle picking up possession. Daniel Mackay, who looks fully confident, out to the left-hand side for Shaw. Inverness Cali Thistle looking to inflict further damage off the post. His Kinnear was beaten. There was a deflection on the shot from Shaw. Kinnear had already moved to his left. The ball went to his right and come back off the upright, and Falkirk survived that particular scare. Here they come at the other end, looking to try and get back into the game. It's Kai Kennedy up towards the edge of the box. Kennedy on the right foot, touches it back for Henderson. Can't get the ball out of his feet to get the shot away, and has to go back the way, and the chance is gone for now. It's McGinn picking up for Falkirk. Kennedy once more takes over midway inside the Cali Thistle half. Allardyce shows him away from goal. It's Nesbitt, certainly another talented player on the field for Falkirk. Can he provide the end product that has been lacking for the Bairns so far at Hampden? Here he is once more, right hand side, about 25 yards from the goal line, sweeps it into the box. Header comes in from Oliver, but it's off target again, and with 63 minutes on the clock, it's still Falkirk 0, Inverness Cali Thistle 3.
Yeah, you can see the players that have come on trying to make an impact, trying to make a difference to the game. Nesbitt, as you mentioned, how he's a good player, tricky in terms of the way that he moves, and he just tries to whip the ball in the search for Gary Oliver, who does enough to get on it, but he can't get the header on target. And you've got to feel though at points though when those types of crosses are coming in, it's not quite the way Falkirk would like to be playing this game, but they've had to adapt their style.
12,877 inside Hampden for this semi-final, and the vast majority of them are going to go home disappointed. The Falkirk fans, around 9,000 of them, have come and watched the side largely bossed by Inverness Cali Thistle of the Championship. The gulf has been sizable, and Cali Thistle good value for their advantage, you would have to say. There's going to be another Falkirk change, but also I think Cali Thistle were pondering changes with Aaron Doran, another 2015 hero, getting a shout to get warmed up. Falkirk come forward down the left hand side, out of play off Dan Devine, and it'll be McCann, whose misfortune at the start of the game really began Falkirk's woes, handling Henderson's cross, albeit knew nothing about it from just a couple of yards away. But as the guys have been saying, in terms of the types of handball that have been penalised this season, can't really quibble with it. Here's McGinn from the edge of the box, goes for a goal. Dees puts himself in the way, and Ridgers collects as the ball looks high in the air. and Cali Thistle have the ball back. Another semi-decent chance for Falkirk, and Stephen McGinn, the veteran, couldn't find the back of the net, as Brian McLaughlin can tell us more about the substitutions about to take place.
Yeah, substitution, another one for Falkirk that's going to be made very shortly. Finn Yates is going to be coming on. The player he'll be replacing will be number 2, Ryan Williamson, and as you say, Al, I think Aaron Dorn very shortly will be coming on for Cali Thistle as well.
Thanks again, Brian. Oh, that's a poor back pass. Falkirk could be in here. Big chance. Oh, he's put it across goal when he should have gone for goal himself. Still the chance is onside netting, and Falkirk just cannot find a way to find a goal here. Another glorious opportunity, and between them, Gary Oliver and Matthew Wright could not find a way past Matt Ridgers, and it's a corner only when it should have been a goal.
That should have been a goal. I'm looking at John McGlynn. He's got his back to the pitch. He's got his hands in his head. He can't believe what he's witnessing. 2 glorious opportunities for his side today. 2 mistakes that they should have punished Inverness for, but they haven't.
I don't know why he tries to pass it.
No, I've got no idea. No idea.
He's got to just attempt to stick it in the net, and I think it goes in. I mean, I understand his teammate may have a tap in, so he wants to do the best for the team, but you know, they've tried to overcomplicate things all day, and you've already touched on it.
Yeah.
It's a huge chance.
It's almost
3-0
still looking for that perfect goal.
Yeah, stick it in the net, get back, try and get another one.
It was Gary Oliver who was looking to try and find Matthew Wright when he should have gone for goal himself. In comes the corner, defended well by Cali Thistle, breaks back out to Kai Kennedy on the right hand side. Kennedy trying to work the cross, but he can't get it past the 2 Cali Thistle players in his way, and forward they come on the counter. Oliver had again, it was a tight angle, but he definitely should have gone for goal, you have to feel. And then second time around he did go for goal, and at the near post, I think it was Robbie Dees lying on the ground, managed to force the ball behind for the corner, and the chance had gone again as Falkirk concede a free kick about 10 yards inside their own half. And nothing really has come off for them. A quarter of the game to go. They trail by 3-0. They've missed a couple of very, very good chances, and passed up 2 or 3 half chances, you would have to say. And you're probably not going to get any more than that in a semi-final. Here's Allardyce for Cali Thistle.
I know they hit the post, Inverness, with a deflected effort, but I can't think of too many opportunities they've had with the 3 goals they've scored, but ruthless.
Absolutely ruthless, you would have to say. Falkirk have it. McCann in field for Nesbitt, but it's a loose ball forward, and Allardyce picks up. It's a brilliant ball for Shaw. Shaw at the edge of the box. Can he add his name to the score sheet? Off the post again, the inside of the post, and then somehow it goes all the way across goal and behind at the other side, and that's twice Nathan Shaw has hit the post, the same post each time, and it's a rueful grin from him. But fortunately for him, his side already have the 3-goal advantage.
I've got no idea how that's managed to stay out the back of the net.
Incredible.
Nathan Shaw does really well, moves the ball, constantly keeps his body moving as well, keeps the defender second guessing which way he was going to go. Good connection, good shape on it, and I think that's the reason why he's laughing. I don't think he understands how it's managed to stay out. Does everything right.
Here's Nesbitt at the other end, looking to try and create something, but no way through that well organised Inverness Cali Thistle backline. Forced forward by McCann, and now McGinn left hand side looking for a teammate, comes to Kennedy, edge of the box. Can he find a shooting opportunity? Back to Henderson, and he doesn't get a hold of the shot once more, and it trundles wide harmlessly. Matt Ridgers will have the goal kick. 69 on the clock. Falkirk 0, Cali Thistle 3.
I don't want to be too harsh on Liam Henderson because he's a very good player. I believe he's just not had a particularly great afternoon, and that happens as a player, and it's a shame it's happened today on such a big occasion. But he's capable of striking that ball with his laces. You've seen earlier on in the half, actually, you know, one came to his right foot, not particularly comfortable on that, but you know, he's got it in his locker to hit the ball sweet, and I just think he's maybe a bit low in confidence with the way the game's panned out for Falkirk today.
20 minutes left of the Scottish Cup semi-final. Inverness Cali Thistle well in control, and looking like returning here on the 3rd of June for a showdown against either Rangers or Celtic. Further drama to come here tomorrow afternoon, no doubt. Tune in for that. The Sports Sound across the various frequencies and on sounds and on digital and at our website. Here's Duffy for Inverness Cally Thistle. Out to Jay Henderson, who's been terrific on that right hand side, trying to weave his magic once more. Gets it back out to Duffy down at the corner flag. That'll be a throw in to Cally Thistle. And you have to feel for Falkirk, it just hasn't been their day. And Inverness Cally Thistle, too good for them. And they will return their attention to their promotion battle. They have Ayr United on the final day on Friday at home. And the winner of that will be guaranteed a playoff spot. Could be a busy May for Billy Dodds and his men. As Kai Kennedy throws himself to the ground, he's waved to his feet, I think rightly by Nick Walsh, and it's a hopeful claim really from the Falkirk winger as he went down that left hand side. Out of play for a Falkirk throw, and quickly taken by Kennedy. That's quick thinking. Here's Wright on loan from Ross County, can't find a teammate, bobbles up, but it hit a hand in there. It's Harper who'd come across, no real claim, just comes off the body I think of Cameron Harper. Falkirk have it once more. Nesbitt on the angle, left hand side, curls it one back post, but it's a comfortable take for Mark Ridgers. And it's just not been Falkirk's afternoon.
Just going back to what you were saying now, I think it's very, very important, Inverness, if and when they get to the Scottish Cup final, that they do make the playoffs, because we finished 5th in the lead up to the 2015 final. We had a month without a game. So if Inverness don't make the playoffs and finish 5th, they're going to have a month without a game, and I don't think that's a particularly good thing, especially with the side they'll be facing. They'll be playing right up into it, so when they do get out of here, it'll be all eyes on getting into the playoffs and keeping the competitive fixtures coming.
Well, the form they've been in, you wouldn't bet against them doing it. They've made a late run for the playoffs and have put themselves in a good position, and it's in their hands as Falkirk pick up. They have a promotion push themselves to look forward to, if not a Scottish Cup final. Here they are, right hand side, though, swinging it in, comes to the head of Gary Oliver, who isn't able to get the header on target, well wide of Mark Ridgers' right hand post. And Brian McLaughlin, here's that change of Inverness Cally Thistle you were mooting earlier on.
Yeah, finally Aaron Dorn has been given the nod, and he will be replacing the player who scored the second goal this afternoon for Inverness, Dan Mackay.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, good afternoon for Danny Mackay. A goal and a wonderful assist for the third goal as well for Billy Mackay. And off troops Dan Mackay for an ovation from the visiting Inverness Cally Thistle fans in the trip down to Glasgow. You'd have to say has been well worth it for them, and they'll be back here probably in significantly bigger numbers, one would imagine, in June.
Yeah, you would expect so. Out, sorry.
I was just going to say, I wonder if Danny Mackay, like we were talking about Jay Henderson, can he go and prove himself at Hibs, having been out on loan a couple of times now since making the move there?
Well, he would hope so, I think, personally. He certainly had a good afternoon again here, and it'll have done him the world of good, being out on loan, getting a lot of football under his belt, having to problem solve in different situations, get a better understanding of what it's going to take. And I think many young players that do go out on loan, they do benefit from it, especially when you've had that run of games as Dan Mackay's managed to do. There's no doubt he's got real quality.
Allardyce all the way back from the halfway line to his goalkeeper Mark Ridgers. He takes a touch and then just plays it down the right hand side. Wallace Duffy couldn't keep that in play though. It'll be a Falkirk throw in about 20 yards inside their own half. And this game is just drifting away from them though. Nesbitt, the substitutes haven't been able to really make a huge impact. There was that chance for Gary Oliver to reduce the deficit, and I guess if that goes in you never really know, but with just a quarter of an hour remaining now, it's looking like a thankless task for John McGlynn's side to get back into the game. Nesbitt picks up just inside Cally Thistle's half though, he won't give it up.
Out to the left it goes to McCann. McCann for Oliver, former Morton man. Back to McGinn. You'd have to imagine this was his last chance of getting to a Scottish Cup final. Out to the right hand side it goes from Kennedy. Donaldson now back to Kennedy. Starts a little bit of injection of pace from Kennedy out to the left hand side. McCann looks up, knocks it back in field. Kennedy still with plenty of energy, looking to get the ball onto his right foot. Duffy can't stop him, finds Nesbitt. Nesbitt looking to play Kennedy back in. That's a heavy challenge from Nesbitt on Allardyce, which is penalised at the edge of the Inverness Caley Thistle box. And Falkirk just can't get away through that Inverness Caley Thistle defence.
It's very predictable, Al, and the problem is I'm looking at the Inverness midfield, and normally if you're moving the ball from side to side, you're looking at the midfield of the opposite team going, right, they should be doing doggies. They're not. They're standing still, and they're able to just defend by being compact. They're not having to work particularly hard to stop Falkirk, and Falkirk are very predictable. You know, they've brought Nesbitt on, but he's doing very similar things. He wants to take loads of touches, and then what he ends up doing is passing the ball 5 yards sideways. So, you know, they need a couple of runners in behind, I think, to try and stretch the game, which is easy to say, like I say, and I know it's very difficult out there, but they need to try something a little bit different in the last 10-15 minutes to try and get a goal.
Final Falkirk change, Brian?
Yeah, 14 minutes left in the clock, and it will be number 21 Ola Lawal who's come on. The player he'll be replacing number 5 Liam Henderson.
Yeah, as you were saying, Rory, not really Liam Henderson's day. We have seen him play an awful lot better in the years with Arbroath last season, certainly, and even this season he's been influential in a couple of the cup wins, but not his afternoon, not Falkirk's afternoon. You'd have to say Lawal coming on to replace him. Here's Oliver, left hand side, back to Lawal, goes for goal and almost finds it. Matt Ridgers down to his left, and that could have been quite the introduction for the 21-year-old, but Ridgers was down to his left, and a save you'd expect him to make in the end.
Yeah, it's comfortable in the end for Ridgers. Lawal does well though, works his feet, creates the angle, but just doesn't get enough whip on it, not enough power to truly work the goalkeeper.
His brother Bosun Lawal has made the breakthrough at Celtic this season. And here's Lawal playing in a Scottish Cup semi-final as Inverness Caley Thistle prepared to make a double change, Brian.
Yeah, it's going to be number 23 Zach Delaney coming on, and number 24 Austin Samuels. They'll be replacing, well, probably the man of the match, I would say, number 9 Billy Mackay, being applauded off by the Caley Thistle fans after his 2 goals this afternoon. And the second player got the board just about ready to go up. Not quite sure who it's going to be, Al. They're using 2 boards here this afternoon. It is going to be number 2, Wallace Duffy. I think was actually struggling around 5 minutes ago. So Wallace Duffy and Billy Mackay, the players being replaced by Zach Delaney and Austin Samuels.
Thanks, Brian. There's a huge bear hug between Billy Dodds and Billy Mackay as he went off. A real emotional moment it appeared to be. What a shift Billy Mackay has put in, not just today, over his Inverness Caley Thistle career. And he didn't get a medal back in 2015. He played the earlier rounds but had left for Wigan before the final, and clearly didn't play. So has the opportunity this season to right that wrong, if you like. But 100 goals now for an Inverness Caley Thistle. We're seeing them on our monitors, and what an afternoon it's been, what a career it has been for Billy Mackay, and it's only a matter of time surely before he beats that Dennis Wyness record, you would imagine.
Yeah, you would expect so. He's been outstanding, an outstanding servant to the club, a brilliant player, I'm sure, both on and off the pitch for Billy Dodds, a key member of the dressing room, certainly a key player today, and a huge part of the success that they've delivered on the pitch. So clinical, his movement excellent, at times not overly involved in the game, I would need to say, but just shows his quality.
Good play from Shaw down the left hand side for Caley Thistle. The cross though is cleared away. 10 minutes to play at Hampden. Falkirk 0, Inverness Caley Thistle 3. Caley Thistle Hampden bound again. They have really brushed Falkirk aside with great authority, having led from the early minutes. And Billy Mackay's spot kick Dan Mackay added to that before half-time, and Billy Mackay added a second of his own in his 100th for Falkirk. Here's Lawal going for a goal again, just tried to clip that to the back post, but well off target. And it has been a tough afternoon for Falkirk and their fans, who turned up here with great expectation. Yes, they were underdogs, but well, you both felt they had a real chance, but it just hasn't materialised for them.
No, it hasn't. It hasn't. I think when they look back and their overall performance and what they've given to the game, probably their best two chances have come from Inverness errors and lapses in concentration, where if you take those two chances, it's a completely different game in the moments in which they've presented. But you've got to give enormous credit to Inverness. I think they've went about their business really well, even at this stage of the game at 3-0. Their work rate out of possession to go and win the ball back and then go in that transition to attack is absolutely outstanding. Every player to a man for Billy Dodds has gave everything for the jersey this afternoon.
Harper thought he'd won a corner kick there, but it will be a Falkirk goal kick. We've got about 9 minutes left of the 90 plus any stoppage time, but this game as a contest has been over for some time, certainly since that third goal went in back in 56 minutes. That felt like it was done and dusted, and Falkirk really haven't been able to lay a glove on Caley Thistle since that point. They've had a couple of good chances in the game but haven't been able to take them, and they will turn their attention to trying to get back into the championship. I think it's 4 years they've been down in League One now, which, as Rory said pre-match, is way too long for a club of that size, and it would be great to have them back in the championship, as Dunfermline have also gone up, partly for the rivalry, and it would really add to the league, you would imagine, although I'm sure there are a couple of clubs who would probably disagree with me on that one. But yeah, it just hasn't been their day.
No, it hasn't, and at this stage you don't want to be too critical, because the players will be hurting out there. John McGlynn will be hurting, and they came, and for spells they have had to try. They have tried to have a go, but it just hasn't materialised. A little bit of a lack of quality in the final third, a little bit of a lack of composure in the final third. And as Leanne says, if they'd taken their two chances, it might have worked out differently, but there could be no arguments over the best team today.
No, that's for sure. Lawal wins the throw in for his side off shot. Falkirk with the throw about 25 yards from their own corner flag. 7.5 minutes left at Hampden. Falkirk fans beginning to leave, beginning to troop away. Can hardly blame them, but for the most part they've stayed in good number. And the Caley Thistle fans, they'll be here to the very end to salute the players and their achievement. Here they come looking for another goal, a fourth in the game. 3-0 they lead. Falkirk though snuffed that out. Kai Kennedy back there doing some defensive work. McGinn knocks it forward to Nesbitt, who takes a chance in a dangerous area, and he's lost possession. And here's Shaw, who might feel he's due a goal, having hit the post a couple of times. Plays it in for Samuels, who loses his balance as he tried to collect the ball, and Falkirk managed to clear that away. Shaw's been good.
He's lovely
in the second half.
Yeah, he just floats by players, doesn't he? Just that wee momentum shift in his body and his change of centre of gravity, and it throws the defender off.
Brian, last couple of Caley Thistle changes.
Yeah, full quota being used today by both sides. The player coming on, Stephen Boyd, he'll be replacing number 20, Jay Henderson, who's had a wonderful afternoon. The second substitution and final substitution coming up, number 16, Lewis Hyde. He'll be replacing another player who's had an excellent afternoon, Nathan Shaw.
Thanks again, Brian. Yeah, you could barely fault anyone in an Inverness Caley Thistle shirt, but certainly Jay Henderson has had a huge influence on the game. Nathan Shaw, as you mentioned, and as Rory was just saying, particularly in the second half, really, when the game has opened up, he's had the space and his creativity and balance, and he's another one who gets a few words of encouragement and congratulations from his manager Billy Dodds, who will be lapping this up and can look forward to leading his side into a final for the very first time. He won the Scottish Cup as a player in 2000 with Rangers. He scored in that 4-0 final win against Aberdeen. He was the top scorer that season. Here his side are looking for a fourth goal themselves. It's turned behind for a corner. He got a hat-trick in the semi against Ayr, Billy Dodds, and it's a different role for him now, but he's revelling in it. As the Caley Thistle fans over in the far corner, right behind Aaron Doran, who's about to take this corner kick, stand and applaud their side. Can they add further gloss to the scoreline? It's flicked on in the near post by Devine into the arms of Kinnear, who gets the game back underway quickly, bowls it out to McCann down the left-hand side. They haven't stopped running, Falkirk, they haven't stopped trying, but it's all been in vain. There's Mackay, Brad Mackay, the only remaining Mackay on the pitch. Throw-ins taken by Gary Oliver for Falkirk. Then McCann for McGinn. Nesbitt now to Kennedy. Can they at least find a consolation? Give their fans something to cheer about on a difficult day. There's always going to be a lot to ask of them to beat championship opposition, albeit they'd already done it. Nesbitt with another free kick, another foul on the edge of the box again on Allardyce, and Nick Walsh keeping his cards in his pockets. Free kick goes Caley Thistle's way though, and really I think probably both sides now just looking for the final whistle here in the last few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely, they will be. Both sides have given it everything. Falkirk have, they've tried to get their way back into the game, but I think they've been outworked today. They've been outclassed in performance. They've been taught a lesson in how to be clinical in front of goal. Inverness have came here with a game plan. They've executed it really well. They've used the squad, they've used the team in terms of the preparations and how they've started the game. They've utilised the quality coming off the bench as well to keep up the performance levels even at this stage of the game. You look at the numbers inside the box just now, 4 and 5.
Yeah, looking for a fourth goal. Samuels is lurking, but out comes Kinnear to dive on the loose ball. And it remains 3-0 Inverness Caley Thistle with under 3 minutes of the 90 left. Launched long by Kinnear. Kennedy heads it on. Duffy though, I beg your pardon, it's Delaney, because Duffy has of course departed the scene. Here's Nesbitt picking up on the loose ball, but way off target again from Falkirk. Aidan Nesbitt on that occasion trying his luck from distance, but Mark Ridgers, apart from that early scare when he was almost beaten after a mix-up in defence, but other than that he hasn't had all that much to do in the game.
No, he hasn't. There's been a number of reasons for that. Good defensive blocks when they've had to from the two centre-backs, poor finishing from Falkirk, and just a lack of invention slightly in the final third at times as well, which has been a disappointment. Summed up there by Aidan Nesbitt's really wayward shot. Not a great chance to score a goal, but still looking to work the goalkeeper, and that's just kind of summed up Falkirk's afternoon. It's been disappointing. John McGinn will need to dust himself down and the team down, because they've got a humongous month coming up with regards to achieving their target from the start of the season. This was an added bonus. They really need to get themselves back in the championship now.
Sure do. Caley Thistle have a free kick. Sean Welsh dragged to the ground by his opposite number, Stephen McGinn, and certainly he's won the battle of the number 4s of the captains out there. Sean Welsh, former Falkirk player, didn't really work out for him at Falkirk, only had 6 months at the club, but my goodness, it's worked for him at Caley Thistle. A real important player for them. Here he is in possession with a winning goal against Kilmarnock in the previous round. Ball all the way back to Ridgers into the final minute of the 90, launched long. McGinn picks up for Falkirk. Now McCann down the left hand side for Oliver. Oliver back towards the halfway line, lays it off for Nesbitt. Nesbitt comes forward down the left, and it's McCann. McCann forced back the way though to Mackay. Mackay infield to his captain McGinn. McGinn inside the centre circle. Cole Donaldson just trots forward. The pace has gone out of the game. As Falkirk know it's way beyond them. Picked up by Lawal, midway inside the Caley Thistle half. Nisbet can't hold on to possession. Good play from Boyd. Is there one final flourish from Caley Thistle as David Dickinson, the fourth official, prepares to show us the board. 3 minutes of added on time as we enter those now. Falkirk have it. McGinn feeds it forward. Oliver now out to the left hand side to McCann. McCann bursting down the left. Falkirk looking for a consolation late in the game. Lawal with his back to goal gets turned, might break for Nisbet on the penalty spot, and then it's scooped over the top in the end. Another half chance goes a begging for Falkirk and Gary Oliver, who has had a couple of opportunities since coming on, and again he can't find the target.
Yeah, well, I touched on a few reasons why Falkirk haven't scored today, and they all seem to happen in the one move there. You know, good blocks by Inverness, poor finishing by Falkirk, and a real lack of belief that they can score a goal.
That's even the types of runs into the box. I think Falkirk, the players are doing the same jobs. Nobody's across the front. Lawal arrives into the same area that another player's already there. He gets the ball stuck under his feet. It's just that lack of quality and creativity in the final third that really has cost Falkirk this afternoon, because they've had their fair share of possession, they've had opportunities to cause problems and chances, at least half chances that have presented themselves, but they've failed to take any of them.
Falkirk throw over on the far side. Seconds ticking down towards confirmation that Inverness Caley Thistle will be back here at the start of June to contest the Scottish Cup final and look to take it home for just the second time. Here they come, looking for a late fourth. It's Samuels. Mackay goes back with him. It's a good sliding challenge from Brad Mackay. Gets the tackle spot on to knock the ball out of play over on the far side. Not wanting to concede another goal. The damage has long been done in this game by Caley Thistle. He'll have to throw it over on the far side into the final minute of stoppage time. Falkirk 0, Inverness Caley Thistle 3. Is with Doran. Moved forwards, but out for a goal kick to Falkirk. Which will be taken by Brian Kinnear. They just haven't been good enough on the day, Falkirk. And it will be Caley Thistle who take their places in that final, in the showpiece back at Hampden on June the 3rd, as Welsh comes forward for Caley Thistle. Now Boyd, he can't find a way through. Welsh was caught there by Donaldson as Samuels plays it into the box. Knocked away by Yates. It'll come to the left hand side. Harper back in and headed over the crossbar in the end by Hyde, and that'll be just about that. Falkirk goal kick. As Nick Walsh gets a glance at the watch in the final few seconds. There's the final whistle. Inverness Caley Thistle, comfortable winners in the Scottish Cup semi-final, and rightfully and deservedly take their place in the final against either Rangers or Celtic. That to be decided here tomorrow. But today it is Inverness Caley Thistle and Billy Dodds who's led his team to victory against League One Falkirk. 2 goals in the first half, the first from the penalty spot from Billy Mackay after a handball by Leon McCann in the early minutes. And although Callum Morrison passed him a brilliant opportunity to equalise quickly after that, the game was almost put to bed on 33 minutes when Daniel Mackay headed past the Falkirk keeper to make it 2 from another wonderful delivery from Jay Henderson into the second half. Any doubts about the result was ended as this time Daniel Mackay turned provider for Billy Mackay to notch his 100th Inverness Caley Thistle goal on such an occasion, side-footing past Brian Kinnear to make it 3-0. Nathan Shaw hit the post a couple of times as Caley Thistle looked to add further to the scoreline. It wasn't to be. Gary Oliver missed a great chance for Falkirk to reduce the deficit, but they just couldn't find a goal this afternoon at Hampden. Falkirk, as they go and applaud their fans who return the favour
it will be Inverness Cali Thistle who will celebrate tonight. But the celebrations can't be too long because they've got a big promotion battle on their hands. But they will be back here in June for the Scottish Cup final at Hampden this afternoon in the semi-final. It's finished. Falkirk 0, Inverness Cali Thistle 3.
The Scottish Cup.
Live on Sports.